Hello, and thank you for watching my video. Um, I want to have a quick conversation with you about inflation. I've recently been exposed to a business opportunity, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. And it involves finance and saving and, assets and liabilities and learning about, those terms and the economy and, money and things of that nature. And it got me to thinking and got me to start, doing some research and reading some articles and things of that nature. And I come across some information about inflation. And, that's a word that affects everybody on the planet that buys goods and services with income that they generate from, you know, taking their time and trading it in for being paid a particular wage, an hourly wage, or a per contract basis, or however it is that you make money. You take a certain portion of your time and you trade that time in for some form of compensation. And so back to that word inflation. The word inflation is a word that affects everybody on the planet that is, you know, operating in ways that I've just mentioned. And it's something that we all accept. We accept it. We accept it, and we don't really think about what to do about it. Or maybe I'm being a little presumptuous. Maybe we do think about what to do about it, but we are stumped when we, have those thoughts. What can one individual do about that word inflation, which is a common bond? It's a bonding. It is a tie. It's a tether. It is something that binds each of us on the planet that are working and generating income, making money, paying bills, things of that nature. We all have that thought. What can we do about it? But we're stumped because inflation continues to um, affect us on many ways, year over year. And in my opinion, it's just out of control. For example, just on a personal note, in the year 2000, I became a father. And, when a new baby comes into your household, there's expenses associated with providing for the needs of that child. Um, when we were at a place to where my daughter actually was going on to the bottle, we had to go out and buy formula at the grocery store. And I remember going and buying Similac. And we bought, a can of Similac every couple of weeks. And that can of Similac cost approximately, $10 and some change. I remember getting it at Walmart and spending, just under $11. And this was back in 2000. Well, now my daughter's, 19 years old. She's in college. And, I don't have to buy Similac anymore. All of my children are beyond, milk drinking age. But I was in the store the other day and just so happened to be on the Similac aisle. And I noticed that that same can of Similac is approaching $30 a can, depending on where you buy it at and, how many cans you try to buy. But there's a serious increase in the price of a can of Similac. Here's another story. Again, in Walmart when I was a child. I remember going to Walmart to buy candy bars as opposed to going to the corner store or, going to, a traditional grocery store. And this was long before we had super Walmarts where you could actually, do a one-stop shop type situation. And we would go to Walmart to get candy bars because Walmart would give us a good deal on candy bars. And you could get Snickers and Twix and, you know, 100 gram bars, whatever your particular brand was, you could purchase that. And you could get them for like, I remember something as cheap as 33 cents for a candy bar. Most of the other places, the regular grocery stores and, the corner stores, mom and pop stores, they would sell them to you for about 50 cents plus tax. So, 50 cent would get you a candy bar. Now, fast forward to 2019, you can't find any store anywhere that will sell you a candy bar for under $1.50. And if you had noticed, the candy bars have gotten smaller over time. If you take a look at a Snicker, if you're above the age 30, if you take a look at a Snicker bar today versus a Snicker bar when you were approximately 15 years old. So we're talking about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, a Snicker bar was a lot larger than the Snicker bar is today, and it's 3 times as expensive. What am I getting at? Why am I sitting here complaining about the cost of things that we all like to enjoy? Because that word inflation is applied to these items that I've just mentioned to you. Inflation is what allows things to cost more over time. And the way you look at it is the money, the fiat currency that you spend to purchase these items. Essentially, inflation makes the buying power of the dollars that you use to purchase the items that you've been purchasing for 20, 30 years. It takes that buying power and it reduces it. Okay? It reduces it. And that's inflation, and that's something that affects us all. And it doesn't matter whether you're, you know, buying a house, whether you're buying a car, whether you're buying clothing, whether you're paying utility bills, whether you're going out to eat, whether you're putting gas in your car, whatever it is that you're buying, the buying power of the fiat currency, the dollars, the euros, the yen, whatever that currency is, it's decreased because of inflation. Here's another historical fact. In 1971, President Nixon decided that the United States would no longer back the US dollar by physical gold. Up until that point, physical gold backed every US dollar that was in circulation. This was somewhat of a check on inflation. After 1971, inflation is able to run rampant because if there's a need for more circulating supply with respect to paper currency, the Fed just prints more paper and puts it into circulation. And they can get away with that because if I were to give you a $20 bill, you're going to take it because that's a $20 bill. Even though the buying power of the $20 bill today is much less than it was 10 years ago, you and I still agree that that is a $20 bill and I can go and spend it as a $20 bill. But because there are so many more $20 bills in circulation, inflation has really limited the buying power of that $20 bill. And then one last thing before I talk about the business opportunity is I want to mention to you interest rates. The Federal Reserve, which is not a federal entity, by the way, it is a private business that does business with central banks, in the United States and around the world. It has the name federal in it, but it is not a federal entity. It's not a government entity. I don't know if many people know that. But the Federal Reserve, they set interest rates. And right now the interest rate is around 2.25, and it's only supposed to go up at the most this year to about 2.5%. And one of the reasons they set these rates is that you have to understand the economy is manipulated. There is a manipulation that has to happen in order to keep things flowing the way that they flow. Because when the stock market does bad and interest rates are high, the people that are really making money at the top, they get a little bit upset. Some of those people that work at the Fed are the people that I'm talking about. Hedge fund managers, people along those lines. The heavy hitters on Wall Street, the billionaires, the multi-billionaires. So when the stock market is not doing well and you have high interest rates, that really has a effect on the economy. Okay. So one way to try to stave off any kind of issues with respect to falling back into a recession or, just a really poor performing economy is to put a cap on the interest rates, to limit the amount of interest that can be applied on, bank loans and anything really, because that number comes from the Fed and then it's spread out into all of these different vehicles that are used in banking to set a certain cost for X, Y, Z, so that if you're borrowing money, um, transacting, and things of that nature, they're going to put a cap on the amount of interest that can be applied to that transaction. And that's done to try to keep the economy flowing, and inflation is running rampant within that same economy. And like I said, you may have a thought about inflation. What can I do about it on a personal level? Not to necessarily the masses, but just to deal with my own personal issues. What can I do about it? And we get stumped because there's really not much that we can do about it. And then this is where the business opportunity comes in. Since about 2015, I've been involved in a company called Karatbars International. It is a global company that is headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany. Karatbars International has a very simple business model. They are in the business of pulling gold out of the ground, mining gold, and then selling gold to customers around the world. Gold being a precious metal that has been an ancient store of value and has been able to retain its store of value abilities over time. And it is a response to inflation. And what am I getting at there? Meaning that if you are acquiring gold, if you hold on to gold, the buying power of gold is retained over time, whereas the buying power of fiat currencies, US dollars and others, diminishes over time due to inflation. For example, 30 or 40 years ago, you could buy a pickup truck for a small amount of money. Let's say it cost you $1,500. Let's say it cost $2,000. That same pickup truck, the equivalent model today in 2019, would cost you about $40,000. Now, if you bought that pickup truck 20 years ago, 40 years ago, with the equivalent of $2,000 worth of gold, it would roughly take you about the same amount of gold today to buy the same pickup truck. Meaning you would basically spend about a kilogram worth of gold 40 years ago. A kilogram worth of gold today is running at about $41,000. So what am I saying again? Gold retains its buying power. Gold is adequate and appropriate response to stave off the effects of inflation on the buying power of your money. Gold is money. And again, Karatbars is in the business of making it affordable for everyday average people to acquire gold. And you can acquire gold in small quantities that can fit your budget, and you can do it at a pace that you can absorb into your budget. And that's what the purpose of this video is. I am putting this video out, and I will do more moving forward into the future to begin to try to share with people and educate people on the benefits of converting some of your fiat paper currency into gold, because gold is a better store of value, and gold is a good hedge against inflation. And the business model that the company has is a very sound one, and it's real simple. They have it to where, normally you buy gold by the ounce. Well, Karatbar sells you gold by the gram. By selling gold to you in smaller increments, again, it makes it more affordable to you. And then Karatbars has gone a step further over the years to where now you can get gold in quantities as low as a tenth of a gram. A tenth of a gram of gold today is approximately $5 USD. So that makes it a lot easier for the average person to be able to buy into gold and have gold as a store of value, gold as a hedge against inflation, and begin to build wealth incrementally that will build up over time, because you have something that is going to retain the buying power better than the paper currency that you would be trying to save with from one month to the next. And then here's another thing about Karatbars that I like. In 2015, when I started off with them, it was just simply purchasing gold and purchasing gold by the gram. And that was really enough for me because up until that point, I'd always wanted to buy gold, but I never had, income that was set aside that I could allot to, purchasing gold in those large quantities. But being able to buy by the gram really, it impressed me, it interested me, and it meant something to me. I could wrap my head around that. But in the last 2 years, the company has, they've gone into overdrive, and they've gotten involved in cryptocurrency in the crypto space. They are now what I call a blockchain company. And the reason why I say that is because they have come up with a business model that allows them to offer cryptocurrencies that are now backed by gold. Did you hear that? Cryptocurrencies. These are digital currencies that are operate that exist on the blockchain, operate on the blockchain, and they are backed by gold. And in my opinion, that is a game changer because now you have digital assets that are backed by physical gold. And these digital assets are just like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and the like. And they are able to be traded on the open market on multiple cryptocurrency exchanges right now. And these are backed by gold. And I don't want this video to be too long, but I just wanted to put this out there and see if I can gauge the interest of anybody that may be out there wondering, what can I do about inflation? What can I do with the money that I try to save from one month to the next and put it in a bank account? And I put it in this bank account, a savings account. And not only does the bank charge me to store my money there if I don't have, direct deposit, but then they give me the least amount of interest as they possibly can for storing my money. So if I try to save $100 a month, at the end of the year, I would like to have $1,200 saved in the bank. And then I would like to have a multiplier go along with that for the interest that I would be paid on my $1,200. When you look at that, if you actually physically save $100 a month for 12 months and end up with a balance in your bank account of $1,200 principal, take another look at the amount of interest that the bank paid you for storing your money there. And then look at that and hold that up against what the bank charges to throw your money into the larger pot on their ledger and then begin to transact and do banking with a portion of your money and what they can make off of your money versus what they pay you to store your money. And then about direct deposit. Think about direct deposit in the true terms from the banker's standpoint. The bank is fine to pay or to allow you to have a quote unquote free checking account every month and not charge you a fee if you get direct deposit. It's quite simple. You're basically guaranteeing that they're going to have a fresh injection of revenue on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, coming from your hard work and effort working on the job that you work on. So, of course, they say, yes, we'll waive that fee for you because you have direct deposit. You are agreeing to continually bring your hard-earned dollars into our business, and we're going to make as much money off of it as we can while we pay you the least with what you try to save out of that same amount of money. So yeah, we'll waive the fee and allow you to have a free checking account for, um, setting up a direct deposit. Thing I like about Karatbars is the gold that you buy from them, you can have it shipped directly to your home. You can use standard mail or you can use FedEx and just pay the shipping fee on top of what the cost of gold is. Or you can let them store it for you at no additional cost to you. And then because they're involved in the cryptocurrency markets and using blockchain technology and have now created these cryptocurrencies that are backed by the value of physical gold, they've actually allowed you and are offering you a free gold savings account. a free gold savings account with the first ever cryptocurrency bank whose holdings are backed by physical gold, and now that bank exists in Miami, Florida, on U.S. soil. So you have a opportunity to open up a free gold savings account now, and that gold savings account has the option to attach a debit card to it, so that you can transact with this bank the way that you transact with your current bank. So now that deals with the liquidity aspect of it, because some may question, what do I do with the gold that I purchased if I want to liquidate some of these assets? If, let's say 5 months go by and I've been saving gold and I have a nice reserve, and then I want to tap that and pull a little bit of that out. How can I do that? Well, you have a free gold savings account. Your holdings are, and your balance is associated with that account. And then you have a debit card, or excuse me, a prepaid MasterCard debit card that is attached to that bank account, that you are then able to, in a very fluid way, similar to what you're used to now with your current bank, you can liquidate those assets. You can change that gold into USD and spend the amount of money that you want to spend off of that prepaid MasterCard, just like you're already used to doing with the debit cards that are attached to your current bank account. And all of this, in my opinion, is a game changer. Again, I didn't want this video to be very long. I just wanted to make an introduction. I'm going to continue to put videos out as I learn more about this new business model that's attached to a business that I've been involved in over the last 4 years. And my goal here is to educate people on other ways that they can take some of their income, the part of it that they want to invest, and begin to invest or convert that dying currency, is what I call it, that inflated currency, into a asset, something that appreciates over time, something that allows you to really begin to build wealth. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about wealth building strategies, and we're talking about income generating opportunities. And so some of my future videos will speak a little more in detail about that. I will leave a link in the description to this video, to Karatbars and the opportunity that they provide to their customers. And I hope you guys take a look at it, and I hope you get involved. Thank you.